Georgia school districts face complaints over how they handle students with special education needs.
So in the span of about 4 weeks, he received 14 out-of-school suspensions.
A beloved grandmother killed by a massive explosion. Now her family says the tragedy could have been avoided.
They didn't care. That's the easiest way to put it, is they didn't care.
And hospitals demanding thousands up front before surgery. We investigate how the medical bill shift could impact your next procedure. When systems fail, people pay the price. We trace the damage, expose the truth, and fight to fix it. This is Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates. A school district accused of ignoring education laws after it repeatedly suspended a student with autism. Atlanta News First Investigates uncovered the case is part of a growing trend impacting students with learning disabilities in Georgia. Andy Parati breaks down why it's happening.
It has two little wheel segments.
Leo Broman balanced a lot over the past year.
Yeah, I've fallen off a couple times.
A new state, a new school, and a new district he and his parents claim failed to provide support needed to succeed in the classroom.
I think he wants more than anything to fit in. He wants to have friends.
Paul Broman is Leo's dad.
He's on the spectrum, so he has difficulty making connections with people, and he can come across as a bit abrasive, even rude. But he really, really enjoys being with people, even though he struggles with that.
Powered off.
School records show when the family moved to Cobb County, administrators wanted the 15-year-old in an alternative school. Leo's parents told the district they wanted their son to stay at Harrison High School.
From the moment that we did that, actually, the discipline and suspensions started to come pretty quickly. So in the span of about 4 weeks, he received 14 out-of-school suspensions 14. In that time, yeah.
Paul says when Leo attended a previous school in San Diego, they developed an individualized education program, or IEP, that worked, like morning check-ins and allowing him to use noise-canceling headphones when class or the gym got too loud, events that can trigger the 15-year-old to act out.
It's because we found a system of supports that worked for him and that allowed him to access the education system.
And when you come to Georgia,
we laid that out for them.
And they didn't comply.
That's right.
And the result was?
Predictably, he crashed out of the education system.
Leo's parents filed a formal complaint with the Georgia Department of Education, and earlier this year, the state determined Cobb County Schools was out of compliance, saying the district failed to properly implement parts of Leo's individualized education program, adding the district imposed discipline for behaviors directly resulting from the student's disability.
So yeah, I feel like the system as it's set up is set up to deny services that everybody is entitled to.
Donna Reynolds is a former special education director at a Georgia school district and has worked in the field for more than 30 years. She's not directly involved with Leo's case, but believes it highlights a broader concern about teacher and administrator training.
Yes, kids with disabilities can have discipline problems. However, they don't do it in a vacuum, or they don't do it separately from that disability, and you have to take that into consideration.
An Atlanta News First investigation uncovered Leo's case illustrates a statewide trend. According to records from the Georgia Department of Education, the number of school districts found out of compliance with special education law has nearly tripled in recent years, from 68 cases in 2021 to 190 last year.
Why is this happening? One potential reason is the number of students requesting special education services recently reached an all-time high.
According to the National Center for Education Statistics, special education services climbed by more than 1 million students over the past decade to 7.5 million nationwide.
I think there's more awareness of disabilities, therefore more diagnoses.
And the impact is?
It's significant. because we already have a strained system of resources, and now we're putting more on those strained resources.
It's just this pretty much.
After the state found Leo's school failed to follow the law, it ordered the district to retrain staff to learn a more balanced approach to disciplining students with special needs.
What do you want the district to understand about Leo?
I would want the district to look at Leo and see not a problem. I would want them to look at Leo and see a huge opportunity. It's a privilege, not to get emotional, but it's a privilege for Mom and for me to have Leo around, because we understand that while he has challenges, he has amazing gifts.
I feel like that's like most of the problem is they don't like take enough time to like understand or like let me speak about like what it is and like, you know, let them know that it's not just me acting weird to be weird. And I think that would solve a lot of the problems that people have.
With people's perception of autism?
Yeah, just take like more than a couple seconds to get to know the person and like understand their problems.
Andy, what's the school saying about this?
So for the record, we did reach out to Cobb County Schools requesting an on-camera interview. Instead, we received a statement, and that statement essentially says that they deny the allegations, that they had an independent review and they believed they were in compliance with the law. They also said that they held multiple IEP meetings, behavioral support systems with the family, with the student, with the administrators. So in their case, they believe that they tried to do everything they could to address the situation. Obviously, Leo's parents disagree.
How is Leo doing today?
He's good. You know, you saw him in the piece. He seems to be doing well. He's anxious to not go back to that school. In fact, the family's moving to San Diego sometime later this year.
There's a line in this story, or multiple lines, where we're referring to IEPs, and I don't want it to go unnoticed. It might seem like just a small factor in this, but IEPs are crucial.
Yeah, IEPs, individualized education programs, they are legally binding documents. So if they come to an agreement and say, this is how we want our child to be handled when they're acting out, or this is the support system that they need, they're supposed to follow those guidelines. It's on paper. In this case, Leo's parents believe that the Cobb County Schools didn't follow that, and that's why he's sort of essentially failed at the school where he was at.
Important work. Thanks so much, Andy. A Tennessee grandmother killed in an explosion at her workplace. Now her family says their loved one's employer ignored the warning signs. A massive explosion at a Tennessee munitions plant leaves more than a dozen people dead. The family of one of those victims says officials ignored the warning signs that could have saved their loved one's life. Now they're leading the push to have the plant shut down. Stacey Cameron has this story.
If you really want to know Raina Gillihan,
My mom was like no other.
her daughter Holly Brown says start with little moments like this. Raina, lying on a bed, making one of her grandkids laugh. It's the kind of moment you don't think twice about recording until it's all that you have left.
You just hang on to the memories you got.
As a grandma, Raina didn't miss birthdays, didn't miss ball games, didn't miss the small things that most of us let slip by, because to her, the little moments mattered the most.
She always told us if she could have grandkids first, she would have had those first. She was the life of the party.
But last October 10th, the life of this family's party went quiet. Her laughter replaced.
It was like a loud boom. It was something you won't forget.
By a blast so powerful, it shook Holly and her husband Joshua Brown's home miles away.
I thought a truck or a car or something maybe had hit a telephone pole.
Then came the calls and the horrible truth on TV.
And we are on top of this breaking news here at 3 o'clock. Multiple people are dead.
The AES munitions plant, where Raina had just reported for work, exploded.
When I seen the drone video of the area, I knew she was gone.
Now they had to figure a way to tell their girls grandma was gone.
That was by far the most difficult thing we've ever done together.
16 people died that morning, killed in a chain reaction explosion now at the center of a state investigation. Inspectors found nearly 100 serious and willful safety violations, proof the Browns say that AES was reckless.
There's no regards for human life.
16 people died because of you.
Holly says some of the dangers laid out in that investigation her mom saw.
They didn't care. That's the easiest way to put it, is they didn't care.
And that carelessness cost your mom her life, you believe?
I do.
For Joshua, the loss carries another weight, guilt. He once worked at AES and witnessed things in that state investigation firsthand.
I saw the mistakes and the problems they were having every morning.
But knew Raina needed a good job and helped her get one at the plant.
Wish I never talked her into it. Live with that. Live with that every day.
But now the Browns are turning that grief into action.
I won't stop until something's done.
What is that something you want done?
I want them closed.
Despite the safety violations, AES is back working to finish a $120 million Department of Defense contract making TNT.
How many more people have to die before someone steps in and shuts them down?
So the Browns are preparing to file a wrongful death lawsuit seeking $150 million, praying it bankrupts the company.
It's not about money.
There's not enough money in this world that you could give me. But to see them not operating will make me feel like she got justice.
And Holly says that's important because Raina and the small moments that she lived for are gone. But like the grandchildren who still talk about her.
Anything my 8-year-old does, it's always in memory of her grandma.
And the pictures that captured those moments, Holly promises her mother's memory will never fade.
AES says it doesn't comment on litigation and has denied wrongdoing in the past, saying the company continues working with investigators.
You need surgery, but first, the hospital wants their cut of your deductible. We reveal the questions to ask before you sign or swipe. Next on Uncovered.
You go to a hospital and it's time for your scheduled procedure. The hospital's billing department won't tell you how much the procedure costs, but it knows how much you're required to pay. It happened to consumer investigator Better Call Harry, and what he discovered may surprise you.
On the day of a surgery, patients deal with anxiety, discomfort, and fear. Now add one more thing, the bill. Cindy Gatton is an independent patient advocate who says hospitals have gotten smarter about when and how much they collect.
So the hospital goes in and they run what's called a test claim. And this goes straight to your insurance company, and the insurance company says, nope, Harry's only paid $1,000 out of his $5,000 deductible and out-of-pocket max this year. So he's going to be on the hook for this amount.
My procedure for a kidney stone was in March. I'd only paid $200 towards my $5,000 maximum, but the hospital wanted the rest, $4,800 right then. Gatton says it's no accident. Deductibles are higher now, and hospitals want as much as they can collect up front.
Hospitals don't want to wait for this revenue. So if they wait until they bill your insurance, see what the insurance is going to pay, then they bill you, and you don't have it, and it might take you 3 months or 6 months to pay it, from a hospital collection standpoint, that puts a lot of money on the line for them.
I asked the hospital and my insurer for an estimate. I wanted to know, what's the rate for the procedure? They couldn't or wouldn't give me an answer, but they knew what I owed, and I had no choice. Pay it.
And so this shift really, in many ways, in my opinion, and it is my opinion, it's not a fact, but it's kind of making hospitals the bad guys in our healthcare system right now, because you needed this procedure. Your doctor said you needed to have it. That's without the consequence of how many thousands of dollars out of pocket you might have needed to pay to be able for the hospital to allow you to have it.
First things first, Harry, we are so glad you're doing well after your procedure. I'm wondering though, did the hospital ever come back and tell you why they couldn't or wouldn't share the rate?
And no, they would not. And we decided not to name the hospital because it was a personal procedure, but it was one that I'd heard complaints about before, and I wasn't used to this kind of the way that they went about this, and the way that they said, here's what you owe. And I'm like, wait a second, this is the exact amount of what's left on my maximum out of pocket after paying my deductible. You can actually price shop. If you could go to another facility, and you could also, if it's an elective procedure, you could shop around and say and get an idea of what this is going to be. And we just kind of kept going back and forth. And I finally said, you do know this is what I do. I'm like, I don't understand. I'm paying for a service that you guys do multiple times a day. I mean, this is not the charge for a surgery. Like anything you don't know what's going to go wrong or what's going to happen during a surgery. Things are going to change. The charges are going to change. So they know, but it's according to our financial or our medical billing expert, this is proprietary stuff. And what they see is different from what the rest of us see. We got a lot of comments online about this. And it's like, this is the one thing where you only find out the actual cost of the procedure after the procedure is over.
Which feels so backwards to everything in our everyday life. Well, what should people know before going into that hospital room?
Know that's going to happen, and know that they're going to. So there were actually I had two visits. So the first one was the pre-surgical visit. And that's when they first presented me my options and said, well, you can pay in thirds. And it's like, well, I'm not paying in thirds. Who has that kind of money? I don't want to pay in thirds. I want to pay on a payment plan. And then I said, I'm opting not to do that right now until you run this through insurance and let's see what they say. Well, I thought we were done. And then on the day of the procedure, you go in, and so many people are in this situation. Not a lot of people like to have procedures done at the hospital. You go in, you're nervous, you want to get this over with, and you're waiting for your name to be called to go upstairs for the procedure. And then it's like, excuse me, come over here to the same people who present you the same plan again and say, you must pay this amount now. And my response was, what if I don't? And they said, then you can reschedule if you'd like. One thing hospitals are required to tell you is about financial assistance, but you would still have to reschedule the procedure. So you're there, they have you, and it was kind of like, I have no choice. So I made the first payment. And then when they asked for the second major payment, because they wanted to break it up in thirds, now, see, you have leverage because the procedure is over, right?
Yes.
And you get you get a year before any of this shows up on one of your credit reports or before they can send it to collections. That's the rule. So I said, I'm going to pay $200 a month. And believe it or not, the person on the phone who had called me, who calls me every couple of weeks, said, okay.
So that's when you've got time to negotiate post the procedure.
Right. But I just think the takeaway on this one for anybody, if you're on an insurance plan, especially if it's got a higher deductible, know that they're going to they may ask for a larger payment up front. And if you don't have it, I mean, you may have to reschedule if it's an elective procedure.
Thanks so much, Harry.
You're watching Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates, a weekly hour-long investigative show with new episodes launching every Sunday at 7.